Okay, today we're doing another spoiler review. This is what I do every time there's a big movie that's out. Mission Impossible Fallout just came out. I have a lot of things I want to talk about that I can't talk about in that last review. So this is a spoiler review. That is a spoiler warning for Mission Impossible Fallout. If you haven't seen Mission Impossible Fallout, leave now. I'm not, usually I suggest you leave now. No, leave now if you haven't seen it. I'm not gonna let you. No, you can't get this movie spoiled for you. Alright, yeah, alright, so everybody here has seen it? Good. Now let's get started. So the movie opens up with a scene where we are on, Ethan Hunt is like having a dream, it's like a wedding, then the wedding ends. I didn't get that. I guess it is supposed to say that he's being haunted by Elaine, but I didn't get that. It didn't compromise the movie for me at all. But it didn't really bother me. Then we see him get his mission. We see the book. Like, you see he, gets a book. He opens it. He turns the mission on. Then they have the whole mission playing on screen. He's like, he's getting his mission. So then, he must go do that mission. So what he has to do is he has to buy the plutonium orbs, or whatever, the plutonium cores, from these these people who are selling them. So he goes, he's about to do that. Then Luther's about to get shot. So the people that they're buying them from are shot by someone. They don't know who. But then they say the apostles. What do you want? The apostles are the last remaining members of the syndicate. So that happens. So then Luther's about to get shot, which is a scene I really like. I'm not remembering who plays Luther. That kind of sucks because he does great in this scene. It really shows when he says, "Don't do it, Ethan." I was like, you can't kill Luther. Then I see Luther, they shoot. I don't know who Ethan shot. I think Ethan shot Luther. I'm not sure. But then we see Luther fall down, and I just almost said, "You did it." Luckily, Luther got up. But then they lost the plutonium cores. Oh no. Then we have this scene where they go to this hospital where there's this nuclear. He's a guy who does a lot of nuclear stuff. So then they go into the hospital, and then you can see on the TV attacks happened in these 3 countries. It just happened a few hours ago. There's radiation detecting. You're like, oh, I see. So they made bombs out of those orbs. And then they're talking to him. They're like, if we read the manifesto on the air, then he'll give us the passcode. So then they give the manifesto to the news to read it onto the air. Then that guy, the villain, whoever, he was the nuclear agent. This movie's complex. There's a nuclear agent. He's laughing at everything, and then eventually they're like go, and then the lights go. I was like, what? And all the walls come down, and I was like, oh. Then Benji comes, takes that little thing off it's the little voice thing off his throat, then pulls the mask off. I had one thought. Benji got to wear the mask. That was kind of brilliant of them. That scene really, I thought that was super cool. That was at the movie where I was it was kind of slow for me. I was invested, but it was something off. There was something off about the scene. I was like, I feel like we just jumped in too fast. Then they show what actually happened to them. I'm like, yeah, this is good. Then we get our epic logo, in every single movie, they always have the fume light, and then they just show all the scenes from the movie. I always really like those, because they always really give me, a preview of what I'm going to see, even though I got a lot of previews for this movie. I got a preview of what I wanted to see. Believe it or not, actually, when the trailer started for this, I had to go upload my Teen Titans Go review, so when the trailer started during the movie, I left the theater, and I was like, okay, gotta upload that Teen Titans Go review. So I had to make the thumbnail. I didn't have to take the picture of them, I just take a picture from the video. Or I had my own picture, I don't know. I had to make the thumbnail, upload the thumbnail onto the video, and upload the video at the same time. So that video uploaded, and when that video uploaded, I was watching Mission Impossible. And then I remember coming out and I was like, hey, it's uploaded, yay. And, yeah, I just was saying that. The opening intros are always really cool. Also, I'm going to call it one thing, and I'm sorry if it is happening during this video, but the frame rate was down in the last 2 videos. I have no idea why. It just, for some reason, my phone is just being weird. So those last 2 videos, sorry about the bad frame rate. But I'm hoping the frame rate's good in this video. I don't know because I'm recording it now. but I think it will be, because these videos, because spoiler talks are very fast to edit, so I think I'm good. Actually, from these opening logos, I could tell that the same director of Rogue Nation directed this one, because if you compare the opening credits to Ghost Protocol to Rogue Nation, they're quite different. If you compare Rogue Nation to Fallout, they're quite similar. Then, alright, so then Ethan Hunt is actually, so he has to go on a mission, he has to go into the airplane, he has to go into an airplane where I believe he has to do the halo jump. Then the CIA are over and they're like, hey, no, this is our plane, so we can send one of our own agents. And then the secretary of the IMF is like, no. But then they do send Henry Cavill's character. They go onto the plane, or I guess I'm just gonna call him Walker if I want to. Then they're on the plane. Then they get the masks on. Then they do the halo jump. And I really like the halo jump. And the reason why is because any other movie, and I mean any other movie, would have put them in front of a green screen, put maybe little wires on them, and made a fan blowing to make it look like they're falling. But this halo jump happens. Yeah, the Tom Cruise goes to so many extents. You just couldn't hang on the side of the plane for that long. You got that joke. Nice work. Then they land on top of this, like, party place. They go to this party because there's this widow, I believe was her name. I don't remember. There's a white widow. That's what they called her. She's meeting with this guy named John Clark. And they're doing a trade with the plutonium cores. So they got to do that. But they have to go into the bathroom, find John Clark, take a facial recognition. Then they have to print out the face. So they have to make a mask of the face. So now that happens. Then Henry Cavill's character and Ethan Hunt go into the bathroom to find him. Then we have the bathroom fight, which I was really praised. I thought it was cool. I just didn't think it was as good as people thought. I mean, I really like the scene where Henry Cavill throws John Clark, or that's what we're gonna call it now, through the mirror. I thought that was cool. They're all fighting, and then the scene where so first they knock John Clark out, then they put him into the bathroom, and then I was like, uh-oh, a bunch of bullies are there. That's gonna suck. No pun intended. That was the worst. Anyway, from that, so then they have the bathroom fight, and then they're just like beating the crap out of each other. Then eventually, dang it, Elsa. That's what Elsa Faust. Also Rebecca Ferguson. Rebecca's character. I don't know how to. Okay, Rebecca Ferguson. I'm just gonna call her that. I don't think that's her last name, but I know it's whatever. I'm close. Okay. So then she shoots him, and then they're all like, he's like, "Can you still make a mask?" And then Ethan just says, "I need a face to make a mask." So then we applied. Oh, shut her on the face. And then a bunch of people go into the bathroom, they see a guy in the bathroom, and then there's just blood everywhere. And then they're all just walking, and then they have to pretend like Walker's head is bleeding. So then Ethan has to go like, "You want some?" So then they all leave. Yeah, that happens. So they have the meeting with the widow. Then Ethan Hunt saves the widow. The widow, I believe, gives them a plutonium, or I'm not sure. Then they say, we're gonna break out. You guys have to get us the man himself, Lane. You guys remember Lane, the villain from the last movie? Well, they have to break him out now, so Ethan Hunt goes to break him out. There's a one scene where he's like, no witnesses, we have to kill everyone. Then it just shows him shooting. That was the point of the movie where I was like, I'm confused. What? Like, this is weird, because the score that happened reminded me of, like, when Ethan Hunt shoots the police, like, the police is injured, and he just goes, like that. Then we learned that was all his imagination. I didn't see the point of that. And that was the point of the movie where I was a bit skeptical of what was happening. And then later, when they showed that didn't actually happen, I was like, alright. Then they actually get the van, and then Walker's asking Ethan questions, and then he's like, did he actually do this? Did he actually do this? And then Ethan says, look, if it makes your skin crawl, he probably did. And then he says, oh my gosh, you're the guy who caught him. And I was like, did you not know that? Then they break. Then what next happens is that Walker and Ethan are in the van. So then when the right truck with Lane comes, they just gonna knock it. Then they're gonna drive the truck. Then they're gonna go through an alley, break through the front window, get into motorcycles, drive. Ethan's luckily works. I thought that might have been a plan of Walker's because earlier I forgot about this. Walker was all like, no, I think Ethan's John Clark, and then they're like, well, shoot. So then I thought that he like tricked his motorcycle. Luckily it did work, and then he drives. You have the cool motorcycle chase. I really like this chase because it actually happened. So nice work on filming the whole thing. But then when he wrecks and then he limps over to the bushes, I'm like, I always see these videos online where someone is being chased by the cops and then they wreck and then they're like limping and then they get caught. He's like, but then they go over to the hole and then it's just clipped in and then he's actually gone into a boat in the sewers. Guess who else is on that boat? Lane. Let's see. Lane is on that boat, and Lane's on the boat. Benji's on the boat, and Luther's on the boat. Then they all go to this little place, and then they also meet Walker there. They get into a car. Then someone with a mask comes, and they're attacking the car. They're just driving by, and then they're shooting at the car. And then we learn that it is Ilsa Faust. Then Ethan runs her over. Well, not really runs. He hits her, and then she flies over the car. Then, Ethan goes, and then they interrogate Lane. I really liked the way Lane was really into it. I actually really liked this scene, because Lane is just, he's just so good. This is the part of the movie where the movie started really grasping me, and I got really just like, wow, this is getting good. This is the point in the movie where that happens. Lane is like really, really intimidating. I really liked him in this movie. Then they take Lane to the secretary, because the secretary's in this place. And then the secretary's just kind of like, went on, like he says, like, he does the evidence that Ethan is John Clark. And then I was like, uh-oh, it's going to be a whole frame thing. Uh-oh, he's going to go against the IMF. Then a whole, like, kind of shoot-up scene. Then there's, like, betrayal after betrayal after betrayal, because Ethan Hunt's supposed to be John Clark, so he's supposed to be the villain. Then they're like, well, we still gotta get the plutonium. I don't get really what happened there. Did they forget that he was John? I don't know. Then they put the mask on Benji and go take him to the place. Then we learn that Walker was actually helping on Benji, helping Lane in his whole plan. He's like talking to Lane. He's sitting in the chair, and then he notices like he's like saying like all these like really mean things to Lane, like why did you have to make this so complicated, like things like that. Then eventually he looks behind him and he sees the camera, and then he rips, and then Benji takes the mask off. Benji gets to wear 2 masks in this season. And it's like, well, Walker, you've been caught. And then that CIA director, whatever her name, you remember her? Yeah, she was like on. Walker, I don't like being used. And then I was like, uh-oh. And then I thought, like, Walker was going to somehow get Lane out. Then we learned that the CIA was also bad. So it's like, a double twist, I guess. That's bad. They lose the plutonium orbs. Then, Walker leaves. Then the worst thing happens. Walker stabs the secretary. When that came up, I just almost said you didn't, because I really like Alec Baldwin. I think he's actually a really good actor. That might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually really like Alec Baldwin. And he gets stabbed and killed. You don't do that! His last words are go. So then Ethan goes to get on. This scene just kind of just blew my mind, the whole thing. Then Ethan goes and he chases Walker. He's like running through the buildings and everything. We see the scene where he breaks his leg. I thought that was cool because, yeah, they actually added that as almost a part of this movie. Then we see him go to the building. I'm getting tired out from this. We see him go to the building. He goes out of the window, so he's still chasing Walker. He makes it to the building where Walker's at. Walker's on the elevator, one of those like old elevators. Ethan's hanging on the bottom, and then Walker's like talking to him, like, why'd you betray, blah, blah, blah. Then Walker takes a picture of a girl, and then Ethan looks so surprised, like, no. And then eventually you see who it is, and I was like, oh, it's his wife. Shoot, that's gonna be bad. And then we find out that his wife is being targeted. So if Ethan tries to go after them, they'll kill his wife. So he's like, what do I do? The helicopter is lost. Ethan Hunt makes it to the deck where the helicopter leaves. And he's like, crap, I lost them. Shoot. Then we get a touching moment with Ilsa and Luther, and they're like talking about how Ethan really cares for Ilsa. That was kind of cool. Then Ethan comes inside and he's like, yeah, we actually put a tracker in. We implanted the tracker into Lane. It was our goal. Sorry, it was our goal. I yawned there. Look, each one of these videos is like 20 minutes, and I have to actually edit that video. So, and I have to, and if I want to get these out not very late in the day, I gotta record this I have to record this in the morning. Like, early in the morning. So if I'm just tired, it's just because I, like, just woke up. And like, it's rare when I don't do a spoiler talk when I wake up. I almost never do that. Anyhow, Ethan Hunt finds that he has lost that Lane and Walker, so then they have to come up with a plan in order to catch them. And then they end up going to Kashmir, and then they're like, he's going to starve 1/3 of the world, because they're going to knock out that water supply. 1/3 of the world. Does that mean China? Because I don't think China gets all this water supply from Kashmir. I'm not sure of that, but I do believe you might be talking about India, but India has the ocean, and then you could filter out the ocean. I don't know if they actually can do that. But I believe Kashmir is where most water comes from, so well, these movies are realistic, so why should I question? So they have 2 bombs they have to knock out. Now, we've seen the whole bomb thing before, they have to knock it out the last second, but this final battle is great. They actually start the bomb, then Lane's like, my running days are over. So they hide one bomb, the other bomb is kind of obvious, honestly. So then they get into helicopters, then Ethan just grabs onto the rope, and then Elsa just goes, what the heck is he doing? And then, I just like Benji just goes, I find it best not to look. Then, Ethan grabs the rope on the helicopter, then he's hanging off the helicopter. He has to climb up to the helicopter, knock the 2 guys out of the helicopter and into it. Ethan also meets his wife at that medical camp. And then I have a touching moment. What a coincidence. I mean, I know it's timed, but I'm just joking. And then we find out that his wife has a husband, so it's like, oh, I guess they're not together anymore. It's kind of sad, but whatever. So then, the next thing that happens is that Ethan, when he's hanging on the side of the helicopter, he gets inside, then he pushes the guys out. I really like the way this scene's done. It's very intense, because it actually happens. He actually did the stunt. So it's really intense to watch this scene. Anyhow, next, he's flying the helicopter. He tries to drop the payload onto their helicopter. It misses. Then, we have the helicopter chase. Luther, Ilsa, and Benji are trying to knock out the 2 bombs. Then I believe Elsa, and then Luther's wife finds Luther, no, not Luther's wife, Ethan's wife is like, hey, can I help you with that bomb? And help you do it, and he's like, sure. So then, they're about to then she's like helping doing it, I don't know what the point of it is, I guess it's so she had a purpose in this scene. And then Elsa finds 1 bomb, then Lane captures her, and then Benji has to go and save her. Then they have an epic fight in this scene that felt very intense because Lane like kind of ties Benji up with a rope, and then he has to then he hangs him by the ceiling. I really like this scene because he's like cutting at the glass, but he's being choked, so it's kind of hard to do that. Then she kicks the box under him, so he's good. So yeah, that scene was pretty intense. I thought it was pretty cool. Then, back to Ethan. Ethan's trying to ram the other helicopter while Walker's just shooting a machine gun at it. And he hits it. He rams it. Then they have this epic wreck type thing where they're like hanging on the side of helicopters. Then this like fume, whatever, sprays on half of Walker's face. The helicopters like crash. One hangs off the side. The hook is hanging on barely. Then Walker climbs up. And then Walker becomes Two-Face. You know, Walker has played 2 DC characters. He's played Superman. Henry Cavill has played 2 characters in the DCEU. DC characters. He's played Superman, and now he's played Two-Face. Anyway, now Two-Face Walker goes, and they battle Ethan in a very intense battle, because it's just kind of like they're like, just the ending. Then, then they both fall off the cliff, then they're both kind of hanging onto the rope. Ethan grabs onto the rocks and starts climbing. I always like the rock climbing scenes in these movies. Then, Ethan, Walker's still on the string, and then Ethan's just eventually like, hold up. So then he, pulls on the string, it breaks the rock, and then the Hulk flies into, yes, into, it doesn't just hit, it flies into Walker's head, he flies down, and it blows up at the bottom. Then Ethan's like, oh crap, he's dead. So he climbs up to the top of the rock, and barely, and then there's this scene where they're about to cut the rope. I've seen this whole thing before, but it's done so well, like, they're about to cut it, we don't even see Ethan. It's like, does he have it? Then we see, then, like, it's like cuts, and there's a flash, and I was like, did the bombs go off? I was, like, in shock, like, did it actually happen? Then we see Ethan, and there's, like, a flash on the distance, and I was like, it happened, didn't it? And then you look at Ethan's mouth, and he has something in his mouth, and you can see that he pressed the button right in time. That whole moment there in the movie, I was gripping the seat intense. Like, I was like, I've seen this whole thing before. You have to cut the wire at the last second, and everybody has to timer. I've seen this whole thing before. I've seen this whole, like, final battle almost before. But it's done so well and so intense, and I love it. The movie ends on a really emotional note. I believe we're going to get a 7th one, which, that's exciting for me. I want a 7th one. 2021 Mission Impossible 7. Now, I remember there's a Watch Mojo video that just came out that said on top 10 franchises that need to pass the torch to the next hero, basically saying to recast. And Mission Impossible is on there. Either Tom Cruise doesn't act in the next one. If Tom Cruise denies the role of another Mission Impossible movie, he's not going to be in another, the franchise is over. Movies are so good because Tom Cruise is just Tom Cruise. He's so committed that it's like Tom Cruise movies. They have to have Tom Cruise in them. So I feel like Watch Mojo, you guys are being a bit ignorant there, just saying like recast. It's like, no, the franchise is good because of Tom Cruise. You're being stupid. Make a spin-off franchise of the IMF if you'd like, but do not, and I mean do not, make Mission Impossible 7 not have Tom Cruise, because that's just not going to go well. Like I said yesterday, Mission Impossible follows everything I wanted it to be. It's like the perfect Mission Impossible film. Every problem I had with the last two didn't happen in this one. It was very suspenseful. It was very well made. These Mission Impossible movies have a formula. I know that. I don't actually really know the formula, but I do know there is one. But they are so able to just allude at the formula that they can really get it well. This movie was so well done just because of how they could do it. The twists, all the twists at the end of the second act, every single one of them surprised me other than Walker being bad. When I found that, I was like, well okay, fine. It just was so well done. I still agree with every single thing I said in my review because I entirely agree this movie deserves the 10 out of 10 rating. It was so good. It's just such a good movie. Alright, so what are your spoilery thoughts on Mission Impossible Fallout? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. The spoiler talk's going to probably upload a lot later than I'm recording it because these things take forever to convert. Seriously. So yeah, see you guys next time, and goodbye.